our last workshops. Some of it's cracking me up, actually.
What did they change?
Some of the controls and some of how you go live, but here's a pop-up that now says, let's get this started, which is great. Like my phone says good morning to me. All right, welcome attendees. See folks coming in. We'll get started in just a moment. All right, I see some folks watching live on Facebook too. We'll get started shortly. All right, well, while we're waiting for people to join us, I'll welcome folks. My name is Wing. I work with the City of Portland. I work with the Fix Affairs, which are, pardon me, usually big resource fairs, big events that we hold 3 times a year during the winter to focus on home health and personal health and finances, and actually doing repair on your house and personal goods. And this is our second season of doing online workshops that would have the same content from a lot of our same partners that present. So thanks for joining us today. If you're in the Zoom session, you can hover over the screen and you see a few options for Q&A and chat, raising your hand. You can use those at any time to communicate with us. We'll do some Q&A at the end. And there's also a closed caption option there as well. So Olivia, are you comfortable getting started? And seems like people might roll in and out a bit, but
yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, thanks. Take it away.
Great. Well, hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today. Thanks for taking the time out of your morning. This is the Savings with Solar workshop presented by Community Energy Project. My name's Olivia. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm the low income facilitator for this program. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that exactly means. But I'll talk about the program, and then we'll have time for question and answer. But like Wing said, please feel free to you can go ahead and unmute if you have questions, or you can put them in the chat. And then we'll talk at the end about the intake process, which is the enrollment process. So Community Energy Project is a Portland-based nonprofit organization, and we have a lot of other programs and services. So if this is something that's of interest to you, you can visit our website, which is communityenergyproject.org. We have other ongoing community education workshops. Right now, we are kind of in our DIY weatherization workshop phase, which is a great home weatherization and winterization workshop where it actually comes with a great big free kit of materials. They have a Fix It Fair workshop later today. And then we also have some direct home services that we offer for qualified individuals including safety repairs, a home energy score, audits, weatherization, etc. So check us out if you're interested in learning more. Okay, community solar. So Community Solar is a great program that's Oregon-wide. It's actually countrywide, but Oregon Community Solar is something a little separate. But it allows individuals to sign up for shared offsite solar installations and then receive energy benefits through the subscription. So it works in a series of subscription fees and bill credits. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that works. But it is different than the kind of rooftop solar that you might see on, individual homes or businesses. Rooftop solar has a lot of barriers to entry, right? It's expensive, a lot of upfront costs to installation, ongoing maintenance, right? There's cleaning, if something breaks or hits your solar panel, it needs to be maintained, which also has a cost associated. Generally, you have to own the structure that your solar panels would be installed on. You can't take them with you if you move necessarily. And then there's also the issue of, the condition of your roof or lack of sun exposure. I recently spoke with someone who was really interested in rooftop solar, but they said, well, the solar company wanted me to chop down 19 beautiful trees in my yard so that we could have good sun exposure. And he was like, no way. So community solar knocks down a lot of those barriers. No upfront costs, no termination fees, no maintenance costs because they're not on your home. They're somewhere else. Someone else is dealing with all the maintenance offsite. So you can take your subscription with you, right? So if I subscribe in my current home, but then I move to another home within my same electricity provider, I can take that subscription with me and keep receiving those benefits. And it is open to anyone regardless of housing situation, right? Because those solar panels are not on your home. You can live in a basement, you can live in an apartment, you can live in a manufactured home, duplex, really any type of dwelling that someone lives in, you name it, you can participate in community solar. So this program exists largely because of the 2016 Coal to Clean bill that was passed in Oregon State Legislature, which stated that half of our energy needs to be renewable by 2040, and that we need to be completely off of coal dependency by 2030, which if you know anything about Oregon's kind of energy breakdown use, that is a big goal. We are pretty dependent. Over half of our energy comes from coal right now. So community solar is one piece of solving that puzzle. And so community solar was created, and part of that bill designated that 10% of every solar development project has to be reserved for the benefit and subscription of low-income customers, which is where Community Energy Project comes in. So what is a low-income customer? That's going to be based off of your household size and income. So if you are interested in signing up for the low-income program, take a look at this chart and see if you fall into, these kind of income guidelines. If you don't fall into these income guidelines, we would refer you to the general market, because community solar is open to people of all income levels. It's just that 10% that is carved out for low income individuals. And the program does work a little bit different for the general market versus the low income program. So if you are general market, meaning you don't meet these qualifications, you can visit oregoncsp.org/LI. And I'm going to put that in the chat just to make sure folks have, not /LI, just regular oregoncsp.org for general market, LI for low income. And the other qualification is that you have to live within or be a customer of PGE, Pacific Power, or Idaho Power to participate. This is a map of all the places that those companies serve, and it makes up for about 90% of Oregon's population. So there's kind of some big gaps out in the middle of Oregon, but the majority of Oregon's population is served by PGE, Pacific Power, or Idaho Power. So how does it work? Like I said, it works through a series of subscription fees and bill credits, and the kind of binding, it's not binding because we'll talk about the contract, but subscribers can sign a contract with their project managers to sign up. So once you've signed a contract, that's when you're signed up. That contract lasts between 10 and 20 years, which means that you don't have to reapply every year like a lot of programs require you to continually apply for it. So once you're in, you're in. And that contract is going to include the size of your subscription, so how much solar energy that you'll subscribe to. It will include how much you can anticipate saving on your bill, so what your credits will be, additionally what your fees will be, and the contact information for your project manager or your PM. That's going to be the person responsible for that large project. They're the person you go to if you maybe are having issues with your bill, if you want to move or cancel your subscription. And those project managers are often solar companies, housing organizations, other local organizations as well. So basically, community solar works in that your sizing works depends on how much energy that you consume. So here we've got our big solar panels, and maybe one family, the Martinez family, uses a lot more energy. Maybe they're a family of 6, so they have a larger share of that solar panel. Jackson family maybe uses a little bit less energy. Maybe they're just a family of 3 living in a smaller structure, so their solar subscription will be smaller. But other businesses, maybe a grocery store, a business, they might subscribe to a ton more solar energy. So how it works is that upon intake, you will provide information from your bill, and we will kind of go back and see what your annual historic electricity consumption is, and then size you at 80% of that. And that is to reduce the risk of what's called oversubscription. If I subscribe to way more solar energy than I use, I'm going to be receiving the benefits from the credits back on that solar energy. And then we want to avoid the potential danger of the electric company at the end of the year saying, Olivia didn't use all of that solar energy, but they received all these credits from it. We're going to ask for those credits back. So to avoid that, our program runs checks quarterly to make sure that we flag and adjust any accounts that are using less electricity than their subscription is producing, because we really want to make sure that low income folks are seeing consistent financial benefits and not being charged any excess bills by the electric company at the end of the year. So this program will always save you money at the end of the day, period. There will never be a month where you are paying higher fees than you receive credits. The credits are your discount that come off your bill, and they're a flat rate. Usually it's like 6 or 7 or 8 cents per kilowatt hour. So flat rate of money per unit of energy that you use. And those credits are always larger than your fees, resulting in a net discount. So here we've got our big credit. So it changes throughout the year, as you might note from this graph. Winter months, less sunlight, less energy being generated. So less credits, but also less fees. And then those fees are also going to be added onto your bill monthly. They are also a flat rate per unit of energy, and they will be at least 20% lower than your bill credit. So that is the kind of built-in guarantee for savings for the low income program. That does not exist in the general market, but for the low income program, you will have subscription fees and credits. However, your credits will always cover your fees and then start chipping away at your bill. And we'll see 2 scenarios here of what that might look like for someone. So in the summertime months, long daylight hours, tons of solar production being generated, we're going to see really high credits, but also a little bit higher of subscription fees, but also high savings. It's just like an active time for solar. So for example, this person's utility fees are normally $84 in the summertime. Their bill credits, which are going to be, taken off their bill, $138. But then we're going to always add on that subscription fee on top. Note the subscription fee, again, smaller than the credit, resulting in a total bill $56, or about 33% lower than it was initially. So throughout the year, you can expect to see on average of 10 to 15% annual savings, but that doesn't mean 10 to 15% savings every month. As you can see here in August, it's high, 33%. And then other months might have lower savings, but the average of the year is 10 to 15%. I did just recently speak with a person who has been enrolled in community solar this last summer, and they told me that they saved 50% on their bill in July, which is fairly high savings. So it does fluctuate. And a January scenario. a lot less solar production going on. We might even be using more electricity in the winter months. So maybe our utility fees are a little higher, maybe 126. Again, we're going to take away those take away from our bill, the bill credits, right? We're earning that $35. And then the subscription fee, tacking it on to our bill, $28, again, note lower than the credits, resulting in a total bill, which is about $7 less than our normal fees. So 6% savings. And again, like I said, average household is going to save 10 to 15% on bills throughout the year. So there are definite benefits to being a low income subscriber if you do qualify rather than going through the general market. Community Energy Project is the kind of contact go-to person for low income subscribers in terms of education and enrollment. And we make accommodations for everyone. So that means any language, any ability to receive computer communications, we will accommodate for. We'll send mail, we'll deliver things, we'll make sure that you can access the information that you need. There are no sign-up fees to participate, not at all. So you'll see those credits and subscription fees, but you will never have separate fees. No fees if you need to cancel your contract for any reason. A discounted monthly bill, like we said, no late fees. So if you're having trouble paying your bill, the program will just pause. You're not going to be kicked off the program, and you're not going to be given fines or fees for not being able to pay that bill. And you can transfer or keep your subscription if you're moved. So for example, I can move to another home within my same utility provider, or if I'm moving out of this home, but I want to leave my subscription with my roommate who will continue living here, I can do that as well. So how to participate? We have quite a few different options of getting involved. I am putting in the chat right here a Google form that you are welcome to fill out at any time. That form will just kind of collect all of the necessary information and be able to kind of enroll you in the first steps. So you can also schedule an intake appointment with me over the phone. If you don't want to do it over the computer or you don't have access to the internet, you can do it over the phone as well. So you can do that by going to oregoncsp.org/li or Community Energy Project's website, or you're welcome to reach out by email. My email right here in the chat as well, and we can schedule something that way. For that appointment and for the form, you will need your household size, total income before taxes, monthly or yearly, your utility account number and your meter number. So you'll need an actual physical copy of your electric bill. So we'll collect that information during the intake process. And then after the intake process, which really only takes like 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, depending on how many questions you might have, you'll be placed on a wait list. Wait lists right now vary depending on who your provider is. So for PGE, we have very short wait lists. We're being able to enroll within the next month or so. So we've got quite a few projects becoming operational soon with PGE. However, if you have Pacific Power as your provider, there are much longer wait lists, not because there's a high demand from individuals, but rather because we're waiting for these big solar developments to become operational until we can actually enroll the people who've been waiting. So that is between 6 and 10 months right now for Pacific Power. And for Idaho Power, we currently have an undetermined amount of time wait list. We don't have anything ready for Idaho Power currently, but it is in the works, hopefully in the next year. And then, so once your project is ready, let's say you've been kind of waiting on that wait list for a little while, when it's time to assign you to a solar project, you'll be contacted again by Community Energy Project just to confirm that you're still interested. And then Community Energy Project will connect you with the project manager, who is the person that will provide your contract. And again, that contract, totally risk-free, so no penalties or fees if you wanted to leave the program. That contract will include how much solar energy that you subscribe to, what you can anticipate saving, and then some more information about that project itself. So any questions are definitely welcome. Please feel free to reach out either now during this workshop or by email at any time for questions about the program. We're really excited about community solar. It's taking off right now. It's fairly new, so we are kind of just getting started in enrollment. So this is a great time to get involved in the program. We've got a lot of availability coming up within the next few months.
Thanks, Olivia. I had the freezing program that I mentioned, or
Oh, no.
freezing problem, sorry, with this program. So I had to switch computers. Hope you can hear me all right, but I'm going to stay off video. I did just allow attendees to talk. They had been muted before, so if you do want to unmute. Otherwise, I'm taking a look at the chat. If folks want to drop something in the chat too, we can answer questions that way. And while people are thinking, seeing if there's any questions, I'll note that there were a few people watching on Facebook Live. So
Awesome.
I posted everything, all the links there as well for folks. And that'll stay up on our Facebook page as well.
Great. Thank you.
All right, well, it doesn't seem like there are any questions. Olivia, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And thanks to everyone who was able to join today. All right, I'll stop my share.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll sign off for now.
Great. All right, have a good day, y'all.
Bye, Olivia.
Bye.
Thank you.